Step back. That's enough. You're not supposed to be here. Amara's hand flew to her cheek, burning with shock. The hotel she commanded, the empire she built with sweat and sacrifice, suddenly felt alien. Staff whispered behind their hands, eyes flicking nervously, but no one dared intervene. The manager's smirk said it all. Power wasn't hers to claim. And yet, in that moment of disbelief and injustice, something inside Amara ignited. This is the story of a black CEO slapped in her own hotel only 9 minutes later. She would shake the foundations of the entire staff. Comment your city below. It was an ordinary morning at the Grand City Hotel where Amara Johnson, a rising black CEO, had just arrived to oversee a high-profile business conference. The sunlight streamed through the lobby's floor-to-ceiling windows, glinting off polished marble floors. Amara moved with quiet confidence, someone who had fought her entire life to reach this position. Her schedule was packed, yet she radiated calm. Accustomed to commanding rooms with poise and authority, she had always believed that competence and determination could open doors. But subtle stares and whispered judgments followed her more often than she liked. Hotel staff greeted her politely, yet their eyes betrayed a flicker of discomfort, a hint that respect was conditional. Filtered through assumptions about her skin color. Amara noticed it but brushed it aside. This was her domain today. Her assistant had already checked in, balancing laptop bags and presentation materials. While Amara paused to take a deep breath and appreciate the familiar hum of the hotel lobby, guests bustled past, oblivious to the battles Amara fought silently. She remembered her childhood, the long nights proving herself in boardrooms where she was often the only black face. Every victory had been hard-earned, every accolade shadowed by doubt. Yet, for all her success, there was a quiet unease that were near ripples she couldn't name. The hotel had always been flawless in appearance, a place of control and order. But today something felt off. A janitor moved through the hallways with brisk efficiency, her eyes lingering a fraction too long on Amara as she passed. A professor scheduled to speak at the conference gave a curt nod, expression unreadable. Something was stirring beneath the polished surface. As she stepped toward the elevators, unaware of what awaited. The ordinary rhythm of her morning teetered on the edge of something she could not yet see, but would soon confront. The elevator doors slid open, and Amara stepped in, her heels clicking against the sleek floor. She pressed the button for the executive suite, expecting a smooth ride, but the air inside felt heavier than normal. The janitor she had noticed earlier hovered near the corner, her eyes darting nervously. Amara nodded politely, but the gaze lingered too long. Sharp and unsettling, like a silent warning she could not yet understand as she reached the top floor. A group of staff moved past, whispering behind their hands. Voices were low, conspiratorial, each syllable carrying judgment. Amara's pulse quickened, not fear, but the sudden realization that respect in this space was fragile, conditional. She adjusted her blazer, determined to focus on her work, yet the uneasy feeling from the lobby clung like a shadow. Then came the first overt incident. The professor, scheduled to introduce her keynote, approached with a measured smile. Yet his words dripped disdain. "I hope you'll manage the presentation well," he said, tone sharp, eyes scanning critically. Dismissing her hours of preparation. It was not an outright insult, but it was intentional. And deeply infuriating, a reminder that for some, her presence alone was a provocation. The tension escalated further in the executive lounge. A staff member blocked her path, hands trembling as she pointed to a side corridor. "You can't go this way, ma'am," she said, voice tight with barely concealed hostility. Amara's mind raced. The corridor was normally open to all guests, but today she was stopped. Questions formed, but she pushed them down. Something bigger was brewing, though invisible. As the conference progressed, whispers grew louder. The janitor appeared again near the refreshments, glancing at Amara with fear and defiance. Staff exchanged sidelong looks. Every gesture, every smile felt layered with hidden meaning. The hotel, once a symbol of professionalism and order, now felt like a labyrinth of scrutiny and judgment. Then came the defining moment. A senior manager approached her suite with deliberate force. Amara looked up from her notes just in time to see her hand strike a sharp slap across her face. Shock rooted her to the spot, mind spinning. The manager's eyes were cold, devoid of remorse. This wasn't an accident, not a misunderstanding, it was deliberate, fueled by prejudice, a blatant act of disrespect in her own domain. Amara's heart pounded. Her authority, dignity, and day were under siege. The staff murmured and shifted uneasily, but no one acted. The hotel she oversaw, the empire she built, suddenly felt alien, and the realization sank in. Today, she would confront prejudice head-on. The room erupted in silence as Amara stumbled back, the sting of the slap burning across her cheek. Shock froze her, but anger surged hotter than any discomfort. This was her domain, her achievement hand. Yet in an instant, it felt violated. Tainted by prejudice, she had fought to rise above. Every eye in the suite darted nervously. Some watched with fear, some judgment, none intervened. The manager stood firm, a cruel smirk on her face. "You don't belong here." Amara's mind raced. This was more than disrespect. It was a message. A black woman, successful and powerful, could still be humiliated in plain sight. Her pulse pounded, nerves screaming injustice. The janitor lingered nearby, hesitant, watching but not acting. The professor shifted uncomfortably, eyes flicking away. Every subtle look, every whispered breath amplified the betrayal. The room seemed to hold its collective breath. Then Amara made a choice. She straightened, gaze locking on the manager, fierce and unyielding. This moment would not define her, would define them. Her steps were deliberate, every thought focused on reclaiming her power. Justice would come, and it would be swift. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. Amara took a deep breath, resolve hardening like steel. The shock of the slap lingered, but it ignited something stronger: refusal to be diminished. A refusal to let prejudice dictate her worth. With swift decisiveness, she summoned senior management. Within minutes, the manager and several complicit staff were dismissed. Justice, though delayed, had arrived. Yet the humiliation she endured could never be erased. And the echoes of judgment lingered in the hallways she had once walked with confidence. Alone in her suite, Amara reflected on the layers of injustice she witnessed. The incident was not just a personal attack. It was a reminder of systemic prejudice many face daily. For every person empowered to rise above, countless others remain unseen, unheard, or undermined simply because of skin color. Her experience became a call to awareness, a reminder that progress is fragile and confronting bias requires courage, clarity, and action. Amara's triumph was not just about reclaiming authority, was about challenging a system, demanding respect, and refusing to accept inequality as inevitable. The question remains, how many more face silent, daily injustice, and what will it take for the world to truly see? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos.